Good morning, parents. My name is Coach Vermeire, and I'm going to be the head coach for this track and field season. I wanted to put together a video, that way you guys can watch this in your free time and not be bothered with the in-person meeting that's very difficult to get to in a time that you may not want to spend in an evening when you don't have a lot of time anyway. So this has proven in the past to be pretty beneficial. That way you guys can go back if you miss information, rewatch the video and those little segments and things like that. So like I said, my name is Coach Vermeire. I am the head coach. I will also be doing basically all the running events this season. So I'll be in charge of all the distance runs, the distant relays, sprints, and sprint relays. In charge of our jumps this year, we have Coach Pratt. She's back again. So she'll handle our long jump and high jump. We have Coach Shaw. She's also going to be back this season, and she's going to be our throwing coach. So she's going to handle our discus and shot. And also back this season, we have Coach Turner, the best pole vault coach in the state, there to help out your kids that are returning a pole vault or are interested in trying that out. He's definitely going to get them squared away and get them going forward on that event. Practices, we have practices every day, Monday through Friday. Students will come over after school. They will ride the buses from their respective site, Central or Madison, over to the high school. The buses for Madison are 3 and 20. For Central, it'll be 10 and 29. So those students will jump on those buses. They'll come over to the high school. They will take a seat in the home side bleachers up in those stands. I am also the high school track coach, so I will currently be on the track with the high school sprinters finishing their workout when those students arrive. So they'll just take a seat up in the stands up there, and either myself, Coach Pratt, or Coach Shaw will be there ready to meet them. And once Madison arrives, then we'll all get changed out, and we'll get going with the practice for the day. Practice attire. We want the students to be dressed comfortably for the weather. So we always say there's no bad weather, there's only bad clothes. So make sure if it's supposed to be cold for the day, layer up. All right, make sure you want to have some type of leggings, sweatpants, joggers, something like that over the top, sweatshirt. If you do get warm, those layers help out. You can take a layer off and continue with your workout. But if you just have shorts and a t-shirt, there's nothing we can do to help you out. All right, we don't have warm gear, we don't have warm-ups or anything like that to give you guys at the middle school level, unfortunately. So make sure you check the weather each day and be prepared. We have locker rooms on site that are directly underneath the home side bleachers. We have a boys' locker room and a girls' locker room, so that way the students can bring their clothes with them to school. When we go down, we'll let them change out. They can leave all their stuff in the locker room. That way we know it's protected, and then they can grab it after practice and head out. Cell phones during practice, we do not allow them during practice. So the cell phones can be in their bags. They can be tucked away, but we do not want them on the athletes. The athletes do not need to carry them around, anything like that. If they want to time themselves, they can get a smartwatch or something like that. That way they can start timing themselves. But things that need to be timed for our workouts, we as coaches will take care of that, so the student doesn't have to worry about it. We don't want distractions. We don't want them to miss key information that we're giving them or not be paying attention during a workout because they could be on their phones. Okay, so it's just an extension of the school day. So track and field events. So for the sprints, we have the 100, the 200, and the 400-meter dashes. Moving down to the distance runs, we have the 800 and the mile. We do not run the 2 mile at the middle school level yet. They're talking about it, but it hasn't happened just yet. For relays, we have the 4x100 meter relay, the 4x200 meter relay, and the 4x400 meter relay are our sprint relays. And then we have a 4x800 meter distance relay as well. For our hurdles, we have the girls 100 meter hurdles and boys 110 meter hurdles, as well as both boys and girls 300 meter hurdles that will be available. For the field events, you have the high jump, long jump, pole vault, discus, and shot. So there's a lot of variety for young athletes to try out several different events to see what they could be proficient at. A lot of the times we think we fit into one segment, we try something out, we find out we have another event that we're actually better suited for. So we like them to kind of try everything, especially if they're sixth graders, get a feel for it all, see what works, and then they can move forward from there. Uniforms and equipment. So uniforms will be supplied before every meet. Once we generate our rosters, which I'll talk about in a minute for each meet, we will make sure that those athletes get a uniform to wear during their competition. What we do is we get those uniforms back after each meet. Because we've only got so many uniforms, we'll wash those and have them ready for the next go. And that way we can make sure that each athlete that is qualified to go to each event, to each meet, has a uniform available to them. If we had more uniforms currently, then we could give every single athlete a uniform and then pick them back up at the end of the season. But unfortunately, we just don't have enough for that. We usually have a very large middle school team, and we can typically only take about 45 to 50 students to each meet. That's about a normal number. And if we have about 75 to 80 athletes, then we would have to have that many uniforms for those other 30. So it's just something that we have to do back and forth at this level. For equipment, throwing equipment's provided, pole vault poles provided, all that. You don't need to worry about that. You do not need to go out and buy equipment for your students. We will provide all that. The only thing that they will need are shoes. So running shoes are required for every athlete. Sprinters, distance, throwers, vaulters, jumpers, they're going to want running shoes. Anybody in a sprint or jump type event may want to look into purchasing racing spikes. But do not only get racing spikes, they need running shoes as well, okay? Each day we practice, we want them in running shoes. The only time I want my sprinters in spikes is whenever we are doing time trials for actual speed, or if we're doing any type of start out of the blocks, which will be a little bit later in the season when we start teaching blocks. Other than that, I want them in tennis shoes. Spikes have a tendency to really cramp your foot. You don't want your feet in them any longer than you absolutely have to compete. As soon as you're done competing, I want them out of the spikes. I see a trend where kids want to wear them all day when they go to the meet and they're walking around. It's awkward. It's going to end up hurting their feet, and they're going to have a really rough season if they continue to do that. So I know money's an issue. I understand that. Only buy what's necessary for your athlete, please. Okay. Eligibility. Every Thursday morning, eligibility for the students is checked at each site. If a student is ineligible, or if they have an F the very first time, then that week they're on what's called probation. So that gives them 1 week to get that F up. If the second week rolls around and another check happens and they still have an F, then they now become ineligible. If an athlete is ineligible on our team for 2 straight weeks in a row, then we're going to kindly ask them they don't have to quit the team, they're not going to be kicked off the team, but we are going to ask them to go to after-school tutoring until those grades get up and they are out of the F range. Then they may be able to come back and start participating in practices again. Our students are student athletes, and that means student comes first. Our current meet schedule, we are going to start on Tuesday, March 7th. Our first meet is going to be at Tahlequah, and it will start at 10 a.m. This will be eligible to all of our athletes, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So I'll talk a little bit in a minute about how we pick that team of who is going to go compete at each meet, but that one will be eligible for all grade athletes. Then we will have spring break. We will come back from spring break on Wednesday, 22nd of March. We will go back to Tahlequah again. This meet will be at 9:30 this time, but this will be a special 6th grade only meet. We will not take the older kids, 7th and 8th graders. We will only take 6th graders, and we will take every 6th grader that is currently eligible. We want to make sure that every 6th grader gets a chance to go to at least one meet this season to experience it, see what it's all about, and hopefully they'll enjoy it and want to continue on Even though they may not be the best of the best at this age yet, I want them to experience a track meet and see what it's all about, to know that they want to work hard in the future to continue with the program. Then the following day, the 23rd of March, Thursday, we are going to go to Kellyville. It is actually Bristow's meet, but they are having their track redone right now, so they are actually going to have that meet at Kellyville, even though it's still hosted by Bristow. We've went to their meet the last couple years. They've ran a really good meet. We've had a really good time there, and we look forward to going to Kellyville. That'll be our first time going to a meet at the Kellyville track. That one will start at 9:30 a.m., and once again, that one will be open to all athletes. Then our next meet is going to be on Tuesday, April 4th. That one will be in Okmulgee. This will also be our first time traveling to a new location. We've never raced at Okmulgee before either. So that should be a very interesting meet. We'll see some teams we may not have seen yet this season, and we'll get a run on a track that we've never ran on. That meet is going to start at 10 a.m., and that one is also eligible to all grades. Our last regular season meet will be on Tuesday, 11 April. That one will be at Claremore at 10 a.m. That meet will also be eligible for all grades. Our final meet will be our conference meet. That will probably be around the 20th, something like that. We haven't got the finalized date yet on it. I'll keep you guys posted. And the location as well, we haven't got which school is going to be hosting our conference meet. But as we approach conference after our final meet of the season in Claremore, then we do what we kind of pare down the team. Those athletes that have medaled at previous events or are top athletes in each event will get to go to the conference meet. For everybody else, the season effectively ends after the Claremore meet. So they'll be able to turn in any uniforms that they have and be able to start going home after school instead of coming to practice. Okay, and there'll be more on that. We'll detail that out as we get closer. So transportation to the meets will be provided. We have buses available to take the students to those meets. If it is a school day, which most of these are, then the students, if they're checked out of school, then they have to ride the school bus. They have to be present at school to be able to go to the event. After the event is done, if you want to bring them home, that is fine. We will have a checkout binder at our base camp there at the track site, and you just have to come to our tent and sign them out, so that way we know who has been checked out. So what will happen is the athlete will need to change out, turn in their uniform, let us know they're leaving with you, you sign them out in the book, and then they may leave with you. If an athlete is going to leave with anybody else but you, if they're going to go home with their friends' parents or anything else, we have to have a transportation release on file. If we do not have that transportation release on file and that student leaves, they will no longer be part of this program. It is very serious, and we have to have that form on file for their safety and our safety. Okay. Let's see, meet expectations. Athletes are expected to be on their best behavior at all times at a track meet. They are representing Bartlesville, they're representing BRUIN Pride in front of all those other teams. Understandably, they are younger than high school students. However, in my experience, they can typically be better behaved. They have to be aware of what is happening around. Us coaches are floating around a lot. We will check in on camp constantly. However, we can't be around all of the time when we have athletes going to so many different events that we're trying to watch, time, and participate with those athletes. So it is the athletes' requirement that are around the campsite, that are walking around, talking to other athletes from other schools and things like that, that they are listening for their events and that they make their events. Two things that will disqualify an athlete from the next meet is if they miss their event or if they do any type of shenanigans and get in trouble at the meet. Those two things will automatically disqualify you for the next track meet. And depending on the severity of the shenanigans, we'll detail that out, and it may warrant a longer punishment, if you will, but we'll deal with those on a case by case. Since I've been coaching, we've never had an issue that bad. We've had athletes miss a couple events and have to miss the next meet, but we've never had a discipline issue. So we'd like to keep that going. All right, so time trials and meet roster selection. The way that this worked is a couple days before the meet, we will conduct time trials in events to determine which athletes are going to compete in each event. We're allowed to take top 3 athletes. We can take 3 athletes per event. And athletes can compete in up to, I believe it's 4 events this season. So if an athlete is extremely stellar and they can excel in multiple events, then we will allow them to do that. So after a meet happens, now each athlete has a recorded time for the season. Anybody else on the team wants to challenge that athlete for that position, they may choose to challenge the time, or they may choose to challenge the athlete. The athlete that currently holds the time can choose not to run against that competitor during our additional time trial. However, if the athlete that challenges them outruns the time that other person ran at a meet, then that other person that chose not to compete that day then is now bumped down a slot, and that other person will replace them at the meet. So we try to make it as fair as possible. We want to give everybody a chance to compete continuously throughout the season, because athletes will improve from the start of the season until the end. And sometimes those athletes that don't make it in the beginning will surpass other athletes that do. And by the end of the season, now they have become the fastest runner or jumper or whatever in their respective event. We will try to get you the list of names for each roster at least 2 days before an event. Sometimes weather and different things dictate, and it pushes things, and we may be a little less time. But we try to tell you 2 days in advance, so that way you can kind of plan ahead and know if your athlete is going to be going to the meet, and so that way you can make time available to go watch them if that's possible. Fan cloth orders. In the past, we have done fan gear orders through a company called Fan Cloth. They are now owned by BSN, the same company that runs all our sports equipment purchases through the school system. And they have improved significantly. I will have a link later this week for our online store. Everything will be online. Athletes do not need to carry around catalogs anymore and do all that. They can just share their link. Each athlete will have a special web link for them. So if you purchase through that web link, if you give it to family members and they purchase through that specific web link, then that athlete will get credit for that, and then they will be eligible for free gear depending on what level that they sell equipment for. We have a huge variety, males, females, smaller sizes for youth, things like that, t-shirts, we have jogger pants, sweatpants, hoodies, long sleeve shirts, hats. We have all kinds of stuff for this season that's going to be available. And that's going to run through about the 24th of February. So about 3 weeks we'll run that campaign to allow you guys to spread that information and get some of that equipment bought. So proceeds from that come directly back to our track program. And we are looking at spending those to get a nice timing system, so that way we can have a lot better, progressive type workouts. We can have more accurate timing for different events and things like that as we move forward in the track program, especially up to the high school level. It will be very excellent for the middle school kids to have access to that, but they will also see, as they become older athletes and continue into the high school level, what that can do for them on a daily training basis. So we're pretty excited to hopefully be able to hit that benchmark and get that equipment. All right, last but not least, communication. Our primary means of communication is a app or program called SPOND, S-P-O-N-D. It's available for both iPhone and Androids. You can download it, it's free. You just build an account into it, and you're going to have to enter a team code once you get that built, and that team code will put you into our 2023 middle school track group. That code will be QTJZY. And so we use that. It's like any other type of social media platform. You can post on it. I can post on it. That's how I usually spread information. Parents can post on it too. There's messaging built in into it, so if you have anything that you need to message to me or one of the other coaches, you can go direct with that. It works out really well when we're posting links to, like if a parent takes photos of the meet and they want to put it in a Dropbox or something and share the link for everybody else, you can do that as well. The thing I like best about Spawned is it's a closed app, so only invitees have access to the group. And so we don't have to worry about it. If we put it on Facebook, it's kind of open to the world, and we don't know who is seeing our information, knowing about what dates we're traveling, things like that, or seeing pictures of our athletes. By using Spawned, it keeps it close hold and allows us, only the people that need to be in the group, access to that group. If you are a parent that has been in Spawned before, maybe the last couple years, or a cross-country parent that used it in the fall, just know that all you have to do is go back into your Spawned, click on groups at the bottom. You'll see a button that says enter code for a new group. You will enter this code and it will put you into the 2023 middle school track group. So please know if you've been in there before, you will have to join the new group. Otherwise, you won't see the post for this specific season. Primary means of communication with the athletes. We will go direct with them at practices each day. We will tell them information. All right. We will tell you through Spawned that same information. We hope that when that athlete comes home, they should tell you what you already read on Spawned. And so that kind of gives us that reciprocal information. We tell them, we tell you, you guys tell each other. That way everybody is on the same page. It's worked extremely well in the past, and we're going to continue to do it that way, and hopefully it will continue to work as well as it has in the future. You can always, like I said, communicate direct through the Spawned app with me. You can message me direct. You can also email me. I have no problem with that. I just note that if you have a question or something like that, track specific, and you go through Spawned, I'm probably going to be more apt to look in that location for that again if I need to answer it or follow up. I get a lot of emails a day. I'm sure you guys do too, and it can just get kind of lost in there. So I prefer Spawned as the number one communication resource for you guys communicating with me, and that's how I will communicate with you as well once the season gets going. We will ask for volunteers for like fruit and water, snacks, Gatorade, things like that for each meet. So as each meet approaches, I'll add out a little volunteer kind of sign up thing, just a couple cases of water and maybe some fruit or some fruit snacks or something like that. Works out usually really well for each meet, and it's easy to get to and from camp and stuff like that. So that's all I have for this meeting. I look forward to a fantastic track and field season. We got that brand new track this season for our athletes to be running on, so we're looking forward to getting them out there. We're going to start on February 13th. I guess I didn't say that at the beginning. February 13th, that Monday, is going to be our very first practice. So have the students prepped and ready to go. All physicals and rank 1 forms need to be completed. I've been seeing a lot of those already coming in. So please make sure that you take care of that. Physicals, you can print off the form from our Bartlesville Public Schools athletics webpage. Take that form to any chiropractor, Access Medical, Urgent Care, your primary care doctor. Any of them will be able to fill that out for you for a moderate fee. There's a lot of chiropractors in town that will also do that. The rank 1 forms are all online. There's nothing to print out for those. So please make sure that you get all that taken care of. 6th graders, when you get to the 1 form, you will not see a 6th grade option on it, so please just choose 7th. It's just the way the form is designed. They don't consider 6th grade as middle school, but they allow them to compete, so it's just not on the form, but it's okay for them to compete. So both athletes have to have both the physical and the rank 1 done before we start practice on Monday the 13th. So please make sure you got that taken care of for them, so that way they're not missing out when everybody else is getting started. Thank you guys for your time. And once again, I'm Coach Vermeire, and I look forward to seeing you guys out there at each meet cheering on these kids and these awesome Bruins. Thank you.